So welcome to this training session for ESS BIZTOOLS subscribers. I'm Peter Towers. Today we're going to be talking about newsletters, and in particular Business Plus, the newsletter which ESS BIZTOOLS produces each month for you to badge and send to your clients. A little bit of history though, just to start with. We now produce an edition each month with somewhere between 4 and 6 articles included. We also produce at least 2 additional editions a year. The first one relates to the federal budget as it affects SMEs. That's normally produced in May each year. However, this year, I understand the budget is going to be delivered in March because the federal election is due to be held in May. We also produce a end of financial year tax tips, a discussion on issues relating to taxation, which we produce in the last week of May. So that's the overview of the systems that we've used in ESS BIZTOOLS to present Business Plus. So over a year, you receive around 60, maybe 70 articles on a wide range of issues relative to the delivery of advisory services. There's not much on taxation, other, of course, on research and development, which is embedded within the Tax Act. But I still find some accountants won't act on research and development. And one of their comments to me is that they only work on the Tax Act. Well, research and development is part of the Tax Act. So I think everyone should be looking at it because it's a great opportunity. It's the start of the innovation journey for a lot of your clients. And I think you need to be with them right from the very beginning. So I'm now going to share our website so that you can see what we're going. So I've now gone to the website of ESS BIZTOOLS, which hopefully you're very familiar with, depending on which product package that your firm's subscribing for. And what we're looking for is the Business Plus newsletter, which we're now bringing up. We've been writing the Business Plus newsletter for 17 years. We've kept all of the past editions, so you can go back and look for articles if you wish. We do have an overall index. If you've got any questions at any time about a past article, just send us an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and we should be able to produce it for you. I'm just going to download the content now. Here are some of the past editions, the ones that aren't shown, we have in our archive so we can find them if need be. When we produce a newsletter, we give you a link to the actual newsletter. So that's it there, Business Plus News Issue 244. That was the number of it in September 24. But we also enclose some other articles that are within ESS BIZTOOLS, whether they're the papers or flowcharts or even forms we include at times, just to give you some additional information for when you're talking to your client. We do this because one of our new subscribers a few years ago received our newsletter and immediately took it to his secretary and said, now we're going to badge this with our name and send it out, which his secretary duly did. He told me that 2 days later, he got a phone call about the Export Market Development Grant and exporting. And he indicated to the client that no, he didn't really know much about the Export Market Development Grant, and no, he hadn't written a newsletter that the client said he'd received, and told the client he must have been mistaken. A couple of hours later, another client rang him. Basically the same story. I want to talk to you about the Export Market Development Grant. And he said, no, you've obviously got something confused. When he finished that call, he thought, geez, I better check on this. And he remembered ESS BizTools that they'd only subscribed to about 3 weeks earlier. Now, we discussed this issue with him, that I think every firm should read the article before you send it out, so that you're prepared to be able to communicate with your clients. And that's what I suggest you do. Because if he'd read the newsletter, he would have realised there was an article on Export Market Development Grant. And that is the reason we include these additional flow charts and papers and sometimes forms, the group of material you receive relating to Business Plus as reference material. So you could sit down and read it. And if need be, go back right into our library, our papers, and clearly understand the Export Market Development Grant, for argument's sake. And in fact, that's not a bad thing to remind you about at present, because round 4 of the Export Market Development Grant on its new system, which has been running now for 2 years, opens for applications on Tuesday, the 12th of November. So now's the time to get ready to talk to your clients, to send the message to your clients or prospects that if they're exporters or proposing to export, or if they're Australian-based businesses that are supplying services to overseas residents and they're promoting those services. So that could be someone running a white water rafting business, or trips to the Barrier Reef, or trips to the Red Centre, or guidance tours, or whatever, as long as it's supplying services to overseas residents and it's the promotion of those services to the overseas residents that your client wishes to claim. So hopefully that gives a bit more explanation about what is happening with the newsletter. Which we're now bringing up. Don't seem to have it coming up. Try again. Okay, so the Business Plus newsletter is now on the screen, and you should be able to see it as we move through. So this was the September edition, 244. And let's just go through it. First of all, this is how you receive it. Now, we suggest that you remove our badging. This is the only badging that we have on this document. And implement and install your own badging, your name, your firm, your address, whatever you like. You can edit this document. You're responsible for any changes you make, though, of course. But this is going out to your clients with no mention of ESS BizTools, so that the client believes that they are receiving this newsletter direct from you. And this was the point I was making a little bit earlier on the Export Market Development Grant with a new subscriber. They sent it out to their clients and then forgot that they had subscribed to our service, and this was part of it. So understanding business funding, we're trying to help you educate your clients that you can offer a broader range of services. So we started talking about investment ready status in the August edition. You can go back and read that if you like. And basically, we talked about getting ready and the preparation of a business plan. And just to recap, the business plan should be prepared in conjunction with the client's leadership team, not you going off and locking yourself in your office and writing a business plan. That won't work. That doesn't work. You need to get buy-in by the leadership team. You need to get them signing off on it. You need to them accepting that they have the task of implementing this document. And if they're going to have the task of implementing, we should have them involved in the deliberations leading to the finalization of the business plan. So the next step then is the predictive financial accounts, budgets, key drivers, cash flow forecast, projected balance sheet, all very important documents that will help your client to be able to run a better business. So in this article here, we're describing what they are. Budgets for each business operations. Don't consolidate all of the businesses into one budget. I don't think that serves any purpose at all. What you need is to break it down into the operating activities that the client is conducting. And if they got 6, well, you got 6 budgets, because you should also have 6 profit and loss accounts. If you want to consolidate them all at the end of the year, you can do that. To go to the bank or whoever you want to produce it for, maybe to your shareholders, if you've got shareholders that are not involved in the direct day-to-day business. But during the year, every month, monthly financial accounts, I think, is a far better way to do it. That's how the big businesses do it. I was the CFO and company secretary of a listed public company. We had over about 500 different business activities, and each one of them every month prepared a profit and loss account so that the area manager could sit down with the actual manager of that particular operation and analyze their results, compare them to budget, look at the key performance indicators and the other business metrics to clearly have an understanding of how that business unit had performed. Now, what we're trying to help you do here is to communicate to your clients that you can offer them this type of service. You can help them run better businesses, to grow their businesses, to actually survive in business. And that's a difficult one at this stage, isn't it? So the key drivers are looking at the things that we can get KPIs on. Debtors days outstanding, creditors days outstanding, work in progress and other items. Then we go through into the cash flow forecast. Very important. And what you're trying to do is to highlight whether there's going to be any difficulties at some time in the future, so that some forward planning can then take place, not the week you know that you're going to go over your overdraft limit. Options that you've got available then are quite wide. You could look at talking to the client about trying to raise some capital, because companies can now do that. It was a lot more difficult even only 7 years ago, before crowdsourced funding and early stage innovation companies were introduced, because all we had prior to them was Section 708 of the Corporations Act. And that only went back about overall about 40 years in any case. Projected balance sheets. What's the balance sheet of this business going to look like? You've sat down with the leadership team, they've produced the business plan, you've written it up, you've taken it back to them, they've signed off on it. And then you produce the predictive financial accounts, which are the financial interpretation of the business plan. So you can sit down with them again and saying, okay, now when we take this forward, you've given us these figures, these parameters, these guidelines, these KPIs, all of that's been taken into account. We put all that together. This is what this business is going to look like in 3 years' time. Isn't that a great tool that you've got to sit down and have that conversation with your clients? But what we're trying to do in the newsletter is to give you the tools to show your clients that you can do this. They don't have to go to a Big Four firm. They don't have to go and get some fancy external advisor to help them and leave you just to doing the tax return work. I think accountants need to grab this turf and hold it. And you've shown that initiative as a firm by subscribing to ESS BizTools, because we don't give much service on taxation. There's plenty of other people advising on taxation services. And I believe that the future of accounting firms, especially the small and medium-sized firms, is to be offering more advisory services to your SME clients to help them survive. And Business Plus is a vital component of that, because you need to open up the communications with your clients. Because hopefully when they read an article like this, they say, wow, I didn't know Jim or Mary, my accountant, could help me on these types of things. So that's the comments on the predictive financial accounts process. The Export Market Development Grant. The next round, which is round 4 under the new regime, opens on Tuesday, the 12th of November. Now, the new regime is you now apply in advance for a grant to help your client entity, any type of entity, not just a company, but partnerships, trusts, sole traders, cooperatives can all apply for the Export Market Development Grant. This is the new regime, and it's far better than the old one where you spent the money first, then tried to see if you could get some of it back from the government. This way, you know in advance, you've got certainty. So again, it's a matter of communicating that to your client. And what we're trying to help you do here now by writing this article in the September edition is the next round of applications opens on the 12th of November. So again, the newsletter is helping you to communicate that information to your client. And you can read all of the details when we're not here actually to promote the individual component of the newsletter. It's the overall objective. So let's move through. The Industry Growth Program update. Now, this is important for you to get this message across to clients, that the government has in place a very large sum of money to help businesses. Admittedly, any business that's going to be able to claim the Industry Growth Program, I believe, is going to have undertaken research and development. And that's why I call it research and development, the start of the innovation journey, because that's what it is. Because to move on, to end up with a final product that they might be able to use in their own business or sell to someone else, they need to start with research and development. But they can claim the research and development benefit in their income tax return, whether the research was successful or not, as long as they keep the records of the tests that they undertook, the experiments, the results of those, and they file all that document and you help them in that process. It doesn't have to be successful. But if it is successful, it's a great contributor to the net worth of that organization. So that's why we're highlighting this, because the grants can be quite high. Now, the guidelines are that it has to be a company, the turnover has to be under $20 million. And the grants vary. There's a series that are grants from $50,000 up to $250,000. And then there's the big grants, which is from $250,000 through to $5 million. Now, the client has to match all that, but it's making the client aware. And we've listed here some of the grants that have been approved only in the last 2 months. $4.3 million to support fully automated hyper-fermentation technology to make food, animal feed, fiber, and fuel. And at the other end, there's 157,000 was allocated to a company for the development of a robotic blueberry picking device. So we've got a wide spectrum of activities. Have you got any clients doing these things? And one of the key things that we're suggesting you do with each newsletter is sit down and read it and jot alongside, who's a client that you think you could talk to about the industry growth program? Pardon me. And give them a ring 3 or 4 days after you send the newsletter to them and say, now, did you read that article on the industry growth program? Remember you told me about you were going to start a research and development project? Well, this is a project that you could get involved as a follower-on, or let's have a discussion. Go and sit down with a client, have a discussion for an hour. Because what comes out of all this is that you understand your client a bit better. The client understands that you know more about issues than what they probably assumed you did, thinking you only talked to them about taxation. But it's helping set the guidelines of how you can assist. The newsletter will help you do that. Research and development for startups. What we've decided to do is to break research and development into 2 components, especially if you're a advisory intro subscriber or even a starter subscriber. You can just get the preliminary advice. And what we wanted to make sure was that you had enough information on your screen that if a client sitting in front of you said, oh, Barry, can you tell me something about research and development? I've heard that one of my competitors has got a research and development grant. What's it all about? What's he got to do? And more importantly, what have I got to do to be able to get that grant? Now, instead of sitting back and saying, oh, look, I know nothing about that, I've never done anything about that, you could click onto the ESS BIZTOOLS system on your computer, click on to research and development. And if you're an advisory intro subscriber, it will be the introduction component. And it will tell you that to claim the research and development tax incentive, your client has to be operating as a company, number 1. Oh, okay, you've got to be a company. And the expenditure you're claiming for the special benefit has to be incurred by the company, number 2. Number 3, you will see that the company has to spend more than $20,000 on legitimate research and development activities in the financial year that you're making the claim for. Okay. Number 4, there's an indication that records have to be kept of the process that's occurred, which normally starts with an idea, a light bulb moment. Someone's got an idea. And the boss decides, yeah, well, 1 or 2 of the team could work for 20 hours on looking at that to see whether there's any potential benefit. And that could be the start of a project. And that documentation has to be kept. So you will be able to answer the questions, and you can immediately print that paper off your system and hand it to your client. So there you are. Why don't you go home and talk to your partner, your business partner, and your life partner, your wife, and go through it and decide whether that's of interest to you, and we can give you some advice. Now, if your firm has not dealt in R&D before, you might then decide you don't want to do anymore. You've helped your client. You may have to refer them on. But I would urge you to think about that. We've written the whole system on ESS BIZTOOLS. We can give you guidance. We are presenting webinars on research and development throughout the year. And the ones we have prepared previously are on our website in the members area. You can download them and look at them. You can give that advice. I've indicated to people that what I think your role is more of an internal auditor, making sure the forms, the documents, the tests, the experiments, the timesheets, people working on the project have all got to be completed by your client. It's their project. You're not the scientist. but you can put it all together and help them claim their special taxation benefit. So again, this is the purpose of Business Plus, trying to educate your client. Now, at the end, you'll see we've got this attention accountants. We normally say delete that and put your own message there after you've gone through it. But these are these supplementary readings that we're suggesting that if you're a little bit unsure of what the industry growth program is, for argument's sake, that you click on and read paper 014146 from ESS BIZTOOls before you send the newsletter out. Or if you're going to send it out on a Friday, make sure you read that paper over the weekend. So if you have clients ringing you on the Monday morning, you're not embarrassed by saying, look, I don't know what you're talking about, and then have the client say to you, but it's in your newsletter. So that's why we've got it there, to try to alert you, to help you in this process. There was another mention of ESS BIZTOOls on this document. I thought about that a little bit after I made my earlier comment. That should also be removed, and you can place your firm name there. So the document going to your clients appears to come from ABC accountancy firm. So that's the newsletter, Business Plus. At times we scratch our heads as to what our articles might be for the next edition. So if you've got any ideas of subject matters that we could write an article on, I'd love to hear from you. Just send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. And if you've got any supplementary material on something that might be a bit unusual, you could send that through to us, thanks. And we can develop that into an article just to give a bit more relevance to the information we're including within Business Plus. So thank you very much for your support of ESS BIZTOOls. If you've got any questions on any of the matters that I've discussed today relating to Business Plus, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and I will get back to you. Thank you for your support to ESS BIZTOOls. Have a great day. Goodbye. And I hope that overview has given you a bit more information as to about how you can use Business Plus as being a key marketing tool for your firm. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.